Welcome, everyone, to the Spend Life Well show, where we apply biblical wisdom to your financial journey. I'm Certified Kingdom Advisor Mark Trice in the podcast studio with fellow financial advisor Jesse Hamilton.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the show.
Jesse, it's, we talk about financial planning a lot,
Yes.
and we thought we'd come and basically discover and talk about 7 areas that every financial plan should cover.
This is especially relevant given the recent volatility. We're recording this in late spring 2025. We're seeing a lot of changes in the stock market and uncertainty as far as administration and tariffs. So this is a great time to look at your financial plan and see what it should cover. And
Who needs a financial plan?
Everybody.
Everyone.
At all stages of the wealth building process. That means if you are just getting started or if you've been doing this for years.
So why should we build why should everyone build a financial plan?
Because it helps you reach your goals and helps you move
long
forward.
and short term.
But from a Christian perspective, the Bible tells us to plan.
Exactly. Who among us does not count the cost before we start a project, right?
Mm-hmm. That's Proverbs, right?
That's right. And it improves our financial decision-making process. And it really, and this is a big one for the ladies in the audience, it increases financial security.
Mm-hmm. That's right. I know doing this show for so many years that there is a huge crossover between our spiritual life and our financial life. And if we can have the financial security, that's in a lot of ways an act of worship so that the money is not controlling us, worrying us, making us make irrational decisions.
I mean, our financial plan is grounded in our spiritual life.
Yes.
Yeah.
They are connected.
So let's talk about the first part that everybody plan needs to get. Let's talk about the foundation. What's the base of our financial plan?
Well, if you come to work with us, we're going to do several meetings looking at goal planning. This is short-term, mid-term, if you will, and long-term goals. Short-term goals are generally those within the next year, right?
Yeah, and sometimes it's real hard for people to visualize long-term goals. But we try to ask questions and help people understand what's going on.
Yeah, that's part of our job also is if you say your long-term goal is to retire, okay, what does that look like? When, how much do you need? How much are you going to spend? And how are we going to get there?
So let's talk about some budgeting basics because I think probably I would say for our listeners in the podcast audience, I would say probably 9 out of 10 people that we talk with, even people that have set aside a fair amount of money and wealth over the years, 9 out of 10 do not know what they spend every month.
Mm-hmm. Most people that don't have a written budget, we have to say, well, is there more money than month or more month than money?
That's right. You need to make sure that you're tracking your income, tracking your expenses, and simply writing it down.
Mm-hmm. And once again, this might seem crazy, but budgeting is an act of worship. This is your stewardship. This is you controlling your finances and honoring God with them.
Because we're going to go to the Lord to discuss how He wants us to spend His money,
right,
and how we should allocate those resources for the benefit of us and our budget,
right,
and also for His kingdom.
Mm-hmm. And I would lump these two next things together. We're talking about the foundations of every plan. Every plan is going to be started with an emergency fund. And that is different for each person. It depends on your income streams, your stability of that income, your family needs, your family size. Generally, this is going to be 3 to 6 months of expenses.
So the emergency fund is the baseline. It is non-negotiable.
Yes.
Every individual, every family must have one.
In fact, people come to us all the time and say, hey, I got $1,000. Where should I invest it? And I say, how big is your emergency fund? And if it's not fully funded, then you can't invest yet.
Yeah, we won't let you. I mean, you can go find someplace where they'll take your money, but we're going to try to guide you in a way that helps you create the basics of this financial plan.
Yeah, without getting into all the details, when an emergency happens, it makes you not go negative in your net worth because you're having to put bills or expenses that are not planned on a credit card or whatever.
So, Jason, let's talk about the second piece of this, and that's protection planning.
Yeah, in my opinion, the other critical foundational piece of every financial plan is life insurance. So this might be heavy to some people, but it really is not that complicated. We're not necessarily talking about life insurance as a permanent wealth building tool. I'm talking about life insurance to cover your family's needs if you died.
Yeah, I mean, you can use life insurance for wealth building, but this is not what we're talking about in this
No.
category. We are talking about providing for your family if the primary breadwinner or even the secondary breadwinner is no longer with us.
Yes.
And the
It.
thing is, we all think we're going to live forever, especially when we're in our 20s.
Mhm.
And it's the last thing we want to talk about. But
Right.
it's probably one of the most important things that you can do to protect your family. I don't care if you're just married and have no kids. You want to give your surviving spouse a choice as to how they adapt their lifestyle.
Right.
I mean, most guys don't really want their wife to have to go and find somebody to marry in the first 6 months because I didn't plan for it.
Yes,
I know that
exactly.
sounds kind of crazy, but believe me, some people make choices because they're broke because you
Mhm.
didn't plan.
Mhm. And there's other types of insurance that are in every financial plan, but they're kind of beyond the foundation. Things like disability insurance is important. A lot of big employers offer that.
Yep,
Health insurance is a key part. But later in the plan, maybe towards the retirement years, we'll look at long term care, another type of insurance.
sure.
But this is not an insurance podcast. It's just this is a foundation for every plan.
The other big thing that everybody needs to have as part of that protection phase is to make sure that you have the proper estate planning documents in
Hmm.
place. That's either a will and or a trust if you that's necessary for you. Talk to an attorney about if that's necessary for you. If you're
Right?
trying to figure out how to distribute assets effectively.
Hmm.
The other big problem we see sometimes is people don't designate beneficiaries for their retirement accounts or even their life insurance account.
Extremely important.
Yes, and we have seen that time and time again. I've seen folks that were divorced 30 years ago and they forgot to change their life insurance beneficiary to their new spouse.
What a mess.
Yeah, what a mess. What about,
Also, it's one more comment here as far as estate planning.
yeah,
So, if you go to a lawyer, that's great. We encourage that. It might cost you $1,000 or more dollars, a couple $1,000 to get a really good comprehensive package like this. If you just want a very simple will and estate planning package, we actually have tools that allow you to do it yourself in an interactive way. That'll save you a lot of money. Using a lawyer is always a good choice, though.
absolutely, because lawyers love to do probate on wills that were written poorly. So, don't put yourself in that situation. But a typical package beyond just a basic will, you're going to have a power of attorney, you're going to have advanced medical directives, HIPAA releases, things of that nature that are really
Yeah.
important to have as part of your estate plan.
Hmm. Let's talk for a minute about the wealth building process. We
Sure.
we have a division of the business here, but we call it the wealth builder. We're helping young families increase that net worth. This is where we're going to explore really two categories. First is retirement savings. That's long term investments in savings. This might be your 401k at work or IRAs, things like that. And how much are we going to contribute to them each month to reach our long term goals?
It's always good to start out with 10 to 15% of your gross income to put aside for retirement purposes.
Hmm.
But I tell you, there's a lot of employers that have a matching program. And at a minimum, let's say their employer is going to do a 5% match up to your first 5% of contributions. My goodness, take care of that. That's free money.
Hmm.
Contribute 5%, get 5%, and you're doubling your money right there.
Exactly.
So,
So that's a great way to build that wealth over time that every financial plan should look at. And then non retirement investments, we need to look at exactly what is the money for? Why are we investing it? And a lot of people ask, how much risk should I take? Well, if you're going to buy a house in 2 years, you probably shouldn't expose that money to
to the
risk.
markets. That's right. That's right.
But if you just want to have a taxable non retirement investment for no purpose other than long term savings, sure, go take some risk.
But a good financial advisor can help you understand what your risk tolerance is.
Yes.
And of course, you want to make sure you're building a diversified portfolio, that you talk to someone about that portfolio at least once a year, if not more frequently.
Hmm.
Let's talk a little bit about debt. So many people have debt and they're not for sure what to do with that. And should they save for retirement and pay off the debt at the same time? What's the best approach there?
Well, there are two main debt reduction techniques that we will use called the snowball and the avalanche. We did a whole podcast on that. Go back and find that if you wanted the details on it. We can help you with that, and it will be a part of your financial plan if you're working with us.
Yeah.
I was teaching a class lately at my church, and we're going to talk here in a second about good debt and bad debt. The nickname that they gave it in the class was hair on fire debt, which is like, high interest credit
I've been
cards,
there.
things like that, where your hair's on fire and it's just digging you a hole deeper and deeper and deeper every day. That's bad debt.
It's bad for your health too.
Yeah, bad for your health. There are forms of good debt where traditionally you might think of like a mortgage as a good debt because
Okay.
it's backed up by an asset that's also appreciating in value.
Yeah.
But
Maybe student loans for some college degrees.
yes, some
You should
circumstances.
not borrow more money for student loans than the child will make in their first year out of college.
Hmm.
And that limits people a lot because some
Yeah,
people are going to a private school and borrowing $100,000 for a job that pays 30.
yeah.
And so you got to be careful about that.
A lot of people
What's
ask about cars. That's somewhere in the middle of good and bad debt. It
if
can
you
be
need a
bad debt, but
you,
it also can be okay
you
debt.
need a vehicle to get to work sometimes if you're not in a large metropolitan area.
Yeah,
But it's the vehicle is to get you from point A to point B.
yeah.
The vehicle is not intended to make a statement.
And the key difference here, the collateralized asset is actually decreasing in value. Cars never go up in value.
That's right. That's right. Let's talk about the fifth pillar of every good financial plan: tax planning.
Very important piece here. We want to reduce that taxable income and make sure that over your lifetime, more of it goes into your pocket and then the government's pocket. But right now, this could be strategies like IRAs, traditional IRAs, HSAs, or even if you qualify a Roth IRA, which is once you pay the tax once, it can grow tax free forever.
Those are all Roths are always good considerations
Mm-hmm.
for that.
If you are in the retirement or the distribution phase, they call it, this is a critical, this probably is the most important part of your plan is the tax planning.
That's right. And we want to make sure that we're minimizing our taxes in every way we can.
Mm-hmm. Part 6 of every financial plan is legacy planning. I feel like a lot of people want to avoid this and they just want to focus on growing it. What if something happens to you? Why would you not want to have the choice when you're living of what happens to your money?
Yeah, because there's nothing you can do about it when you're gone.
Yeah, can't take it with you.
Yeah, and so preparing for what that legacy may be are so important. And we've done a podcast on this in the past about legacy planning, whether or not you wanted to be doing charitable giving. Um, do I want to pass along certain values and
Right,
traits to
right.
the next generation and my grandchildren? All these are important. It's important to have a conversation with your financial planner, financial advisor, to discuss those. And then Jesse, the final thing that we're going to be talking about is financial plans. And this is one of my beefs sometimes when many years ago, before I was actually a financial advisor, I had a financial plan. I go to the big bank or whatever that was my financial quote advisor, and they give me a nice leather bound notebook, and it was out of date before I got in the car. Ongoing reviews and adjustments are critical for every financial plan. I mean,
Right.
at least an annual review to see if things have changed.
We consider a financial plan to be a living and breathing document.
It is. It is a fluid document. It goes on forever. And you want to make sure that you're adapting to any changes in your lifestyle. Maybe you lost a loved one. Maybe you've got a kid who got a full scholarship
Mm-hmm.
and they don't need money for college. Whatever it may be,
Right.
you want to make sure that you're doing those regular checkups and that you're staying on top of those things
Yes.
and adapting to that change.
And of course, this process involves a lot of different styles of professionals. We consider ourselves to be kind of like the quarterback. We got all these teammates that are helping us reach the goal, and they have their specialty. We got our lawyers, our tax planner, or our tax preparer, all these people that help us.
And that's a beef I have with the financial industry is there's a lot of financial advisors. All they're doing is managing your investments.
Yeah.
And they're not bringing in the rest of the team. And it's important, number one, that you have a quarterback, and we do that for many of our families. And it's important to bring in other advisors that can help complement your team. So all the things you mentioned there are spot on. Make sure your financial planner or financial advisor is talking to the other professionals in
Right.
your life.
Exactly.
So, folks, you can start your financial plan today. We'd be glad to help you. We have lots of different options for different models for folks that are starting out, or maybe you've built wealth and have substantial wealth. We have subscription models, so it's almost like Netflix. You get access to a financial planner all year long.
Mm-hmm.
The team here at Clear Vista Financial is, we're here to help optimize those retirement contributions and strategies to help you meet those financial goals.
Yeah, and
Jesse, how can they get a hold of us?
You can text us at 254-282-0495 or shoot us an email at info@clearvistafinancial.com.
All right, folks, you've been listening to the Spend Life Well show. Until next time, thanks for listening.
Securities offered through Cambridge Investment Research Incorporated, a broker-dealer, member FINRA, SIPC. Advisory services through Cambridge Investment Research Advisors Incorporated, a registered investment advisor. Cambridge and Clear Vista Financial are not affiliated. Discussions in this show should not be construed as specific recommendations or investment advice. Always consult with your investment professional before making important investment decisions.